Why is it so hard to get into cybersecurity? Hey guys, DC here, and today I wanted to talk to you about why it is getting harder for people to get into cybersecurity straight out of college or from certifications. Let's jump right in. A lot of newcomers are coming straight out of university and are expecting to get a job straight into cybersecurity, and sometimes that expectation is set a little bit too high. Now, there's absolutely no problem with shooting for the stars. In fact, I definitely recommend it. You never know, you might get in. But for those of you who feel like it's getting a little bit harder to get in and maybe there's too many people applying for these jobs, this video is just for you. Now, my first point that I want to make is that certifications are not enough. Just having a set of certifications with no experience or a degree is really tricky to get into cybersecurity. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's a little bit harder, especially depending on where you live. In somewhere like Australia, it is, doable. It is definitely possible to get into a job in cybersecurity with just certifications. However, those people who have studied, for example, a bachelor degree in computer science or even a bachelor of cybersecurity, then going into a job straight away, they're much more likely to get a job. In the US, it is a little bit different with companies looking for people who already have experience and certifications and degrees as well. Because there's more people, it's a bit more of a flood, so it's a bit harder. The other problem with certifications is that people seem to think that you just need to have this huge array of certifications, when in fact there's actually only 2 or 3 certifications that you really need to get into cybersecurity as a bare minimum. Those certifications are the CompTIA Security Plus, the OSCP, and of course the CCNA. These are the 3 certifications I always recommend because they are almost guaranteed to get you a job in some aspect of IT. It might not be cybersecurity, but you will eventually get there if that's your end goal at the end of spending a year or 2 working in another IT position. The reason that this is so difficult now though is because of reason number 2, which is that IT engineers like network engineers or sysadmins or systems engineers or any of those sort of mid to high level jobs a lot of them are moving into cybersecurity because of the money. Now, it's not just all about the money, it is also a little bit of a change in direction from what they're used to doing. So instead of, provisioning servers and backups and all those sort of network related tasks, they're looking more towards securing those networks that they've been building for years already. Now, companies absolutely love these guys because they already have the experience, they already know how these sort of systems and everything work, right? So all they need to do is skill them up internally, which they can just tax write off basically, and pay for them to get a couple of certifications, move them into a cybersecurity team, and Bob's your uncle. That is the easiest way to get a job in cybersecurity at the moment. It is to already have experience. Now, just on experience, a lot of places are looking for, if for example you have experience in software development, or maybe you have experience as a network engineer or a sysadmin or whatever it is, having around 2 years experience is pretty much the green spot. That's what everyone's sort of looking for you to move into a cybersecurity role. The reason for this is because they don't want people who don't have experience with how these systems are built, provisioned, and work in a real life environment, just jumping straight into a job. You sort of need to have that base knowledge already to then jump over. Saying that though, it is definitely not impossible to get a job without experience. It's just far more difficult. Now, I think it's worthwhile talking about areas of IT that are sort of expanding at the moment that you can then apply security practices to later on. Now, the number 1 for this is, strangely enough, cloud. More and more companies are sort of making that final switch over to the cloud because of maybe cost concerns or scalability or uptime or whatever it is. They want that extra layer, I guess, of features which you can get from the cloud, which you can no longer get from on-premise servers. It's also easier for, in most cases, engineers to set up these different cloud services, whereas before with on-prem stuff you had to have a little bit more knowledge. So they can take a little bit more of a risk with less experienced people. Now, this sort of works in together with an area of IT that you could get into, and then, as I said before, later apply security practices too. which is actually exactly what I'm doing at the moment. So with cloud, when I talk about cloud, I'm thinking like AWS, the G Suite, Google Cloud thing, beast, and of course all of the Azure bundle of stuff that you can do. Applying different types of pen testing techniques to these different cloud services is becoming a huge market. And with previous engineers who have moved across from, say, like sysadmin or network engineer roles, a lot of them didn't have too much exposure to cloud in a lot of cases. Plenty of them do, of course, especially in like the small to medium business size area. But for the guys who were working in enterprise before, where everything was an on-premise Linux server, they have sort of moved into other things now. The thing with the cloud is that it's sort of like a ever-changing environment. It's always on the roll, and you know, with Azure, Microsoft just rolls out changes all the time, and you don't really know what's going to happen next. You don't know where things will eventually move to, or if something's going to change that breaks some sort of system that's already there and creates a flaw or a vulnerability, and then that opens a network or system up. This is quite common, and companies are becoming more and more aware of this. The other emerging area of IT sort of ties in with cloud in most cases, and that is automation. Now, I don't mean automation as in replacing your job as an IT professional, but more improving business procedures. Now, this is something else I do quite a lot of at work. If you talk with me in Discord server, I spend 3 out of my 5 days of work doing different types of automation. A lot of them are for SOC teams with different types of DevOps reporting features. And they don't want their staff spending time on doing these really laborious tasks of like checking through some sort of system. So for example, some report is submitted and then it goes into an automation and it sort of breaks it down into different bits and then sends off the necessary parts to the necessary people in those areas. They don't want someone to just, you know, all those reports just get spammed to a service desk account, and then the service desk guy goes, yep, I don't know what this means, and then flicks it over to someone else, and then it just doesn't actually work. That's a business improvement by automating that feature to sort of, I guess, segregate it or limit it down to who actually needs to know what. Now, it's not all doom and gloom though. There are plenty of opportunities out there for people who are willing to skill up in those, especially in those areas that I just mentioned of automation and cloud, because there are growing security concerns around those different topics. It's quite important to stay sort of ahead of the curve here and take up these new technologies as opportunities. And I know they're not really new technologies, but they are definitely still emerging technologies and areas of IT that will later have more and more security concerns and vulnerabilities, of course, as time goes on. Because it's all still sort of fresh, and it's sort of like a growing concern among a lot of larger companies as well, especially ones that are starting to take globalization as a real thing. It is quite important to look at those different topics and sort of push yourself ahead in those particular areas. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. As always, please do like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, throw a comment down below and ask me, and I'll try and answer you as best I can. Or maybe someone else in here who's watching this video has more experience on that particular question who can answer you. Join my Discord server. There's a link in the description. There's thousands of people in there who talk every single day. They do live streams on bug bounties. And yeah, it's a great little community to be a part of. So do jump on my Discord server. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. See you later.